Okay, should we look ahead to some of the games coming up today? The Riverside, it's England against Romania. England's final warm-up match ahead of the Euros that are starting next week. Obviously, England's game next Sunday. This is England against Romania. Then, if you reflect on the lineup from the Austria game in which England won 1-0. Are any of those players likely to feature in the starting 11, or do you think Gareth Southgate is going to sort of bring in those players that weren't involved because of the Champions League, Europa League final, for example, so Manchester United, Chelsea, and Manchester City players?
I wouldn't be surprised if Kane plays. I think Kane will play.
Okay.
Purely just to try and get him on the score sheet. Because he's his number one. I think, most players who are going to play against in the first game against Croatia are going to only get 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone who's starting against Croatia will play more than 60 minutes. So there will be a number. I think
Declan Rice just to manage.
Declan Rice might play again because obviously he had a bit of an injury. Whether he starts, I think that will be very important for him as well.
But just to quickly clarify, the 60 minutes, that's because you've got to manage the game time.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Quick succession of matches.
So, self-evident, really, that, if you're going to play 60 minutes, it's more really to get, just an extra few minutes before the game, because there's the players love playing. Okay, so it's very hard to leave. If you ask Harry Kane and say, yeah, I want to play today, nearly every position, the player will say, yeah, I'd still want to play. But you don't necessarily need to play the whole 90 minutes. There will be a number of changes, and I think it's really important that you do, for the psyche of a player. A sportsman want to do some sort of... It's not always about training. You can do enough training, and I'd like to think they've finished their training sessions now. All the hard work's done. Whether it's gym sessions, whether it's literally physical, twice-a-day training, they would have done all that. And they would have gone, look, you leave your football club fit anyway. So when England or squad players, internationals meet up, generally they're fit. They're in great nick. Some of them are managing injuries, so you work with them. So I just feel it's about minutes on the pitch for me, and only a certain amount.
And with this game then against Romania, does Gareth Southgate go full strength? Is the 11 that we're going to see tonight that starts perhaps the 11 that will start against Croatia?
Well, they normally do. I think managers like to do that. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll write it down. We'll see the team, and then we'll see the team against Croatia. I would think largely it will be... I'll be surprised if at least 9 of them are not starting. It might not be the keeper. It might not be Pickford. He might look at someone else, whether it's Henderson or... or whether
Johnson.
It's I just feel certainly the outfield players will most of them will play. I'll be surprised. We'll see next week, because we'll look at the team today and then look at the starting lineup. I think it'll be against Croatia as close as damn it as their first 11.
Yeah. And as you mentioned before, you said it sort of yesterday, when you approach these games, especially this final one, it is all about making sure that the challenge you make is not full-blooded, is not a challenge that you could come away with an injury, for example. You want to put in a good performance, because all these players obviously want to show Gareth Southgate that they are ready to play against Croatia. But in the back of their mind, are they thinking, I need to come through this with no injury so that I can be in that starting 11?
Yeah, well, it's a bit of myth, and it's always been said, and over the years I used to laugh at it, because I think years down the line I think, well, no, that's not really true. You say, well, if you don't go fully committed to a challenge, you can get yourself injured.
Yeah.
Well, you're far more likely to get injured going in fully committed, okay? And if you think there's a ball there and you're not quite sure if you're going to get there first, don't go for it. Or, just stand up. Try and make a challenge in another way. Because, like I said, I've had managers scream at you, what you're doing. You're crazy. Before FA Cup finals or before a major game in the league. You don't have to injure your teammate or injure yourself in a game prior to a game. This is a big week. Gareth won't want anybody doing anything daft, because that sometimes happens. Someone makes a really ridiculous challenge.